Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Macabre, and welcome back to my movie library. It's time once again. I've been watching a few movies. They're really hitting into my DVD collection. I've been looking at stuff, wanting to see what movies I want to keep, what movies I want to get rid of. If there's anything that I want to, try to see if I can upgrade, if I like it enough. And so, yeah. So mostly these are going to be a lot of DVD watches, but still, I think for the most part, some pretty good ones. So we'll go ahead and get started. Well, we're not starting off on a very good note here. This one here, I didn't really do it for me. I got to be honest with you. This one we watched Murder.com with Alexander Paul, Blake Lively, and David Chokaki? Anyway. So yeah, I mean, just kind of, I don't know. This movie just didn't really do it for me, to be honest with you. I mean, as gorgeous as Alexander Paul is, I don't know. Just, the story is about, her character, her sister, she finds out that her sister has died, basically murdered, and then, found out that her sister had this kind of like online life as doing, like sexual content and everything else. And so, turns out that the investigation isn't doing much. So she decides to get into this world to try to lure out the killer and stuff. And it's kind of weird because like her character is a lesbian, but then there's all this sexual tension between her and this male cop, and and it's like, if you're gonna put that in there, then why the hell do you even bother making her a lesbian in the first place? I don't know. It just seemed like a pointless virtue signal. But anyway, so yeah, just kind of a murder mystery, but just kind of very cheap looking. I mean, Alexander Paul is great. She's still gorgeous after all these years and everything else, but just kind of, I don't know, wasn't, just didn't do it for me. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be hanging on to this one. I just don't see a lot of rewatch value on this one. But I mean, it sounded interesting and everything, so I gave it a shot. Just didn't do it for me. So there's that one. Now we move on to a better note. This one here, I got several, I believe, Spanish horror movies, and this one here actually was pretty good. Memory of the Dead. Yeah, this was a pretty interesting little watch. I need to see if, there might be a Blu-ray for this one. I want to see if I can upgrade this one at some point. Pretty good story about this woman. Did they say the character's name? Anyway, so yeah, it's about this woman. Her husband dies, and it turns out she is so obsessed with her husband and so in love with him that what she wants to do, she wants to bring him back from the dead. And so what she does is she assembles a group of her friends to her house, people that knew her, people that knew him, friends, relatives, and stuff. And it turns out that in this she's going to do this ritual that to bring him back, she has to kill all these people, and she has to kill them and put all their blood together in a pool, and it's going to bring him back. And so these people, so one by one, these people are getting picked off, but it's not necessarily her doing it. What happens is, she does this, she's starting this ritual, and what happens is everybody in the group starts seeing these, like ghosts from the past and all this other kind of stuff that's trying to make them kill themselves or kill each other and all this kind of stuff. And, great special effects. This movie's bloody, gory as hell, lots of special effects and everything else. So, yeah, I ended up having a lot of fun with this one. I thought that was kind of a unique premise, though, the idea that, to bring a loved one back, you have to sacrifice the lives of, the friends and loved ones in order to do that. I thought that was a pretty cool, interesting idea. So, yeah, so Memory of the Dead, I had fun with this one. I think I'll hang on to this one. This is another one, which is like a Spanish or Argentine horror film, I think. But, yeah, this one actually, it's a little bit of a slow burn, but it turned out pretty good. I hope I pronounced this right. Penumbra, something like that. Anyway, yeah, good movie. About this young woman. She goes into this kind of apartment that her family owns, and it's like between her and her sister. Well, she's going in to try to see if she can rent this apartment out to this, rich businessman. And these people there, and they can't. They're like, "Oh, this guy's coming, and everything else." And meanwhile, like everything is just getting weird, and it's on the day of an eclipse, and the eclipse is coming, hence the title. If you look it up, the title does suggest like an eclipse, But anyway, so she's going there, and she's, her character, let's just say she's not the most likable person in the world. She's very much wanting to, she's a lawyer. She wants to, she's very like competitive. She's very headstrong. She wants to get this deal done. She's very much like trying to advance in her firm. But she keeps running into these weird assortment of characters, especially this one homeless guy, this big heavy homeless guy with missing teeth, and this guy's like every time she comes around, he's like calling her names, calling her a slut, telling her she's a bitch, and all this other saying dirty things to her and all this kind of stuff. But then when somebody else comes around, oh, she's attacking me and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of weird, some weird characters. But then you realize what really is going on is that these people are actually there to perform like a satanic ritual. It turns out that they're a cult, and they need her to be something of a sacrifice. And so, so basically what they're doing is they're waiting for this cult leader. It's almost like there is hints of like the Wicker Man and kind of a Rosemary's Baby vibe to this. And it's like as it's going along, she starts realizing, wait a minute, these people are not who they say they are. And everything is getting more and more spooky and crazy and all this kind of stuff. So it's a little bit of a slow burn, but once it gets going pretty well. And like the sense of, there's not really that whole, like, there's hints of it where it's like, is all this in her mind? Is all this stuff really going on and everything else? There's hints of that, but yeah, overall a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I had some fun with it, and I could see hanging on to this one. Another one, I want to see maybe if there's a Blu-ray or something like that. Maybe at some point I can upgrade, but yeah. So Penumbra. Hopefully, sorry if I mispronounce it. There's that one. This one has been sitting on my shelf for a long, long time. I've been meaning to get around to it, just never did. I finally got off my butt and watched it. We have Dread Central presents Monsterland. This is something of a horror anthology. Like most horror anthologies, the world's being taken over by monsters, and this guy, for whatever reason, comes by a cinema, and he goes in and he decides he's going to start watching movies. These like little the stories are like these little short films and stuff like that. And so he's watching these movies and, just different stories. Like with a lot of them, like a lot of horror anthologies and stuff, some of the stories are good, some of the stories not so much. A couple of the stories I really could not get into. Like the thing with the puppets and everything else, that didn't really do it for me. You had the one about the, you see right there, the big picture there, the killer jellyfish and everything else. The CGI effects are absolutely dreadful. They are terrible. Like I said, some of the stories are good, some not so much, but just, the CGI effects are absolutely horrible. Just, my God, just the cheapest looking stuff you've ever seen in your life. But still, overall, I do love horror anthologies and stuff. So I was finally, it's finally nice to get this one off my unwatched pile. So happy about that one. So yeah, so Monsterland, got a chance to check that bad boy out. So there you go. This one here I really enjoyed. I like these kind of movies. We have The Perfect Witness with Wes Bentley and Mark Borkowski. And this was a good movie. This was actually a really good movie. Not really a horror film, more of like a thriller, I guess. You have Wes Bentley. I like Wes Bentley as an actor. I wasn't a fan of American Beauty, but I do like him as an actor. I've seen him, like on American Horror Story. I liked him on there. Dolan's Cadillac, he was really good in that movie. I like Wes Bentley as an actor. Mark Borkowski did a really good job. He also co-wrote the script. The story goes, if you haven't seen it, the story goes that, Borkowski's character is a serial killer. And Wes Bentley is he's an aspiring filmmaker, and he's going around with his camera. He actually captures Borkowski's character murdering this woman. And so the two of them meet up, and he tells them, like, here's the thing. I want to make a movie about you. I want to do a documentary on you. In case if you were ever captured or whatever else, it's like, I want to show that, I want to, show the footage and everything else so that people see who you are and see, like, what shaped you into becoming a murderer and stuff like that. And eventually, Borkowski agrees. There are a couple of very, very intense moments in this movie, almost rivaling the home invasion scene from Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. The most intense scene is the scene where, in my opinion, is the one where they, earlier in the film, they go to this restaurant and the waitress brings their food and everything, and he decides, Borkowski's character decides that he wants to make her a victim, so they break into her apartment and he's telling Wes Bentley's character to film him killing her, and like he doesn't want to do it, and so all this kind of stuff. Like, that's a very intense scene. This is a very, very intense thriller. Really well acted. Wes Bentley does a great job. Borkowski does a great job. Then it becomes kind of like also to this game of cat and mouse where Wes Bentley's character decides he's had enough. He doesn't want to do this project anymore and all this kind of stuff. And so Borkowski's character starts upping the stakes. It's like, no, man, you approach me and you came into my life and all this stuff. And actually, goes after Wes Bentley's mother. And so now he has to finish, this documentary. Otherwise, Borkowski is going to kill Wes Bentley's mother and stuff like that. It's a really good, intense thriller. Really enjoyed it, Like I said, both actors did a great job. And, I really like this movie. I thought this movie was pretty good. So, if you like those kind of movies, I say, The Perfect Witness. Give that one a shot. This one here, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with. It's fun. It's kind of campy. It's a British slasher movie. But, there's a lot of humor in it, a lot of comedy. I will say the worst part of this movie is a lot of the practical effects are not good. A lot of the blood, it's like, it does not look like blood. It looks more like strawberry Kool-Aid. But yeah, I overall had fun with this movie. I like some of the humor in it. It's Pandemonium. Interesting little flick here. So what ends up happening is, it's a good movie. I have fun with it overall. It's silly. It's pretty silly, and it knows it's silly. But the story is about this young woman. She gets a job in a law office, and it's on the day they're getting ready to announce who's going to be the next partner in this law firm. And so nighttime comes, and they decide that, the guy, he's this real just smug prick. And he decides he wants to have a party. Well, this new girl, she starts there. It turns out she made her life as like an exotic dancer, a stripper, basically. And so, and she's a really good character, So they decide they're going to have this party, so they bring in these other strippers. Well, it turns out these strippers know her. And so there's a little bit of them kind of bickering back and forth, oh, you think you're too good, like you decided to get this fancy schmancy job at this law firm, and, you're looking down on us because we still strip for a living and all this kind of stuff. But, she does have this really great moment where she's telling this one guy, this coworker who likes her, she's telling him about how she has a daughter and she's disgusted with herself because she was doing this. It's like, and the fact that, her daughter is crying, she sees her daughter's tears because her daughter is being picked on at school because the other kids are saying that their parents know that she's a stripper and knows what she did for a living. And she doesn't want her child to be ashamed, and so she decided to take this job in this law office to, better her situation and to, not have her daughter have to live with the stigma of her mother being a stripper all her life and everything. So try to do something good for her daughter. So there's a great character arc, wonderful character arc. And And of course, British actors, of course, are great at acting and stuff. The humor, a lot of it's funny. Definitely some jokes that definitely don't hit, but for a lot of it does. The one part is funny is the one lawyer guy who's like really coked out of his mind. He's so drunk, so coked out of his mind. He goes up and this guy wearing a panda mask goes in and he starts picking everybody off one by one. And this one guy, he's so drunk and so wasted that the guy in the panda mask cuts off his wingding. And the guy's like, "You cut off my penis. You're a bad panda. I'm going to go die now." That part was pretty funny. But, yeah, I mean, it was a really good movie. And I had fun with it overall. Just, it's cheesy. It's dumb in some parts. A lot of the characters are fun, But, yeah, overall, I had fun with it. But, But, yeah, Pandemonium. There's more I want to say about it, but I really don't want to say too much. Because, I don't want to give it away for anybody who hasn't seen it. But, yeah, if you get your hands on this, it's like I said, just the worst part is just really horrible practical effects. Like I said, the blood, it does. It looks like everybody just walking around like they're just spraying, strawberry Kool-Aid on each other. It doesn't even look like blood. But yeah, a fun movie overall. So, and that is kind of a fun, and this guy too, this guy is just a quip a minute. Like, this guy just loves his quips. He loves his puns. And they're like, this guy just shooting out quips and puns left and right. So yeah, overall a very fun movie. Kind of stupid but fun, so I enjoy it. Pandemonium. Oh, wow. I didn't watch as much as I thought I did. This here, I gave it a shot, and this movie just did not hit for me, and I don't think I'm going to keep it. This is Paranoia 1.0 or Paranoia 1.0. I'm willing to bet you when I picked this up, this was back when, that's the thing. I got this probably in a pawn shop for like maybe 50 cents to $1. One thing I've noticed is like pawn shops and thrift stores, at least in my area, they don't even carry movies anymore. A lot of them don't even do it. It's like I can't even remember the last time I've gone into a pawn shop and bought movies, because now every time I go in there, they don't sell them anymore. And which is weird, because even the people in the pawn shop who knew that I would go in there to buy movies, they would, I would go in there and they don't have any, and even they were surprised that we don't understand when we stopped selling movies. I mean, we didn't make a gigantic profit off of them, but we still sold enough of them that, the store made some profit off of it. So we don't even know why they stopped selling the movies. But yeah, I'm willing to bet you probably because this was dirt cheap, and definitely because of Deborah Kara Unger. She is definitely one of my crushes. The first movie I saw her in was Whispers in the Dark. Then, of course, David Cronenberg's Crash and stuff like that. So yeah, she always to me, she was always like one of the most gorgeous, most beautiful women I'd ever seen in a movie. So chances are, most likely, she's the main reason I picked it up. But one thing is, this is one of those very, very slow, very fuck with your head kind of, psychological movies, like, are people going crazy? What's going on? And, and all that kind of stuff. Very slow burn and just watching people kind of like descend into madness and stuff like that. I have to admit, that's not really one of my favorite kind of movies to watch. And especially when it's slow and kind of drawn out and everything else. I do like Jeremy Sisto as an actor. And, also, too, any movie with Udo Kier and Lance Henriksen, but just, yeah, this movie just didn't do it for me. I don't know, I'm not a fan of these kind of movies. So I don't think I'm going to be keeping this one. So, but even if Deborah Unger is in it, it's like, man, there are better movies with her in it. But, so yeah, sorry, but I don't think I'm going to be holding on to this one. Paranoia 1.0, there is definitely a horror, body horror element to it as well. So yeah, but I don't think I'm going to keep this one. So, last but not least, this is a movie I have. I don't know why it's taken me this long to get around to it. I've heard so many good things. I've heard a lot of hype about this movie. It's a Shudder original, which, I love. For the most part, I love Shudder originals. It's very rare that I'm ever disappointed by a Shudder movie. And this one here, I was not disappointed by it. I finally picked up. It just came out on 4K. And the funny part is like I just picked this up on 4K. Now Second Sight's putting out 4K. I think you already know. When Evil Lurks. This movie here, I was curious about it. I heard a lot of people talking this movie up and everything, and I've been wanting to get around to checking it out. And then the 4K came out, and I was like, like this is the kind of thing that I support. Is when you can get a working man's 4K. This only cost me $16.99 for a 4K. Now granted, it's bare bones. All there is a still gallery on there. Now, of course, as soon as, I pre-order this one and the money goes through, then Second Sight's going to do theirs. And I think I'm going to just go ahead and stick with this one because, it's a good movie. I do enjoy it. But I just don't feel really like I want to go out and shell out like another $30 to $50 to pick this up. So I think I'm just going to kind of stick with what I got here. But still, overall, enjoyed the movie. Some really intense scenes in this movie. My God, especially the stuff with the kids. I won't give it away for anybody who hasn't seen it, but man, it's like, oh my God. Like my father would have been going around punching holes in the wall if he'd seen this movie, because my father couldn't stand the idea of bad things happening to children. Like he had a very soft spot in his heart for kids. He couldn't stand anything bad happening to kids. To him, he was like, kids should not be touched. Kids should be let kids be kids and leave them alone. So it's a good thing my father is not alive in this day and age. Seeing all the stuff that's going on with kids now and everything else, like he would have been just furious about the shit that's going on these days, especially with kids and everything else. But yeah, like he would not have enjoyed this movie. Seeing the horrible things happen to kids, he would not have enjoyed this movie. But yeah, it's like, man, this movie's got some really intense stuff in it. Some really the effects are top notch. Just wow. Just some great horror scenes. Great atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. The impending sense of doom and dread in this movie is off the charts. This very uncomfortable watch, but uncomfortable, but in a good way. I would say if there's one thing about this movie that infuriates me to the max, it is like the character. I mean, I know that in horror movies, you have to have characters that sometimes do or say stupid things, so that the plot can happen, so the story can happen and stuff. I get that. My God, the people in this movie are so infuriatingly stupid that you're just like, like you hit a point, you're just like, these characters are so, I'm sorry to say, but these characters are so dumb, they deserve to die. It's just everything they do. It's like they have these rules and everything, like, do not, you come across somebody, an animal or a person that is possessed, you don't shoot them, because if you shoot them, it just makes things worse. And so what's the first thing these fuckers do? They shoot them and everything. And of course, everything just keeps getting worse and worse, and it escalates. And you got the one character who's like, she's kind of like the demon expert and all this kind of stuff. And, it's like everything she tells them to do, they completely ignore. Everything she tells them not to do, that's the first thing she does. Or they do. She's like telling the guys, like, you're going to alert the demons. Don't run. Move slowly. So what's the first thing the guy does? He hightails it out of there. It's like, God damn. I think that is just the worst part of the movie. I mean, overall, I did enjoy the movie, and it's definitely a great horror flick. But I think that is just the one thing that irks me the most about this. I mean, I've seen characters, in movies do dumb stuff. But I mean, it's like when people are this damn stupid, like, when they tell you, it's like, don't do this, and that's the first thing they go and do, and all this kind of stuff, or they tell them do this, and they completely ignore it. Oh my God. So, I mean, to me, that was like the worst part, but overall, I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, I don't think I enjoyed it enough that I'm willing to go out and shell out another $30 to $50 for the Second Sight 4K, but yeah, I think I can go ahead and handle this. So, there you go. So yeah, so that pretty much concludes everything I've watched. So When Evil Lurks, we'll go through it. Pandemonium, Perfect Witness, good flick. Monsterland, 50-50 on. Penumbra, good flick, enjoyed it. And Memory of the Dead, batshit insane, but in a good way. Yeah, definitely if you're into kind of like the Peter Jackson kind of stuff, or like, yeah, just kind of out there kind of stuff. Yeah, good flick. And the two that are not going to be sticking around, murder.com. Sorry, I tried, just didn't really do it for me. And Paranoia 1.0. So anyway, so that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, could you please leave it a like? If you haven't already, please go and subscribe to my channel. That's it, everybody. So take care. Have a good night. See you all later.